to another episode. Synchronous Charles Van, LA-based sync agent, and I want to welcome special guest Murat Evgin, who is a Turkish composer and songwriter. Good morning, Murat. How's it going?
Thank you very much, Charles. Good morning. It's so fun to be here with you. I always expect our Zoom calls, because I learn a lot from you. And now this turned into an interview. It's so much fun.
Yes. No, I really appreciate that. Interestingly enough, you're actually here in Los Angeles for the Guild of Music Super Awards happening this weekend. And we had connected last summer at the GMS conference.
Yes. Yes, I'm very happy to know you in this industry because you really need trustworthy people, mentors, teachers who can teach you. Because I can say I'm new to sync licensing in America. In my country, I'm not. I've been composing for TV series and landing sync placements for the last 22 years, I think. But in America, I'm very new. And when I searched for the good names in this industry, I found your Instagram page and I learned a lot from you. So it's very nice to be here.
Oh, thank you so much, Murat. That really means a lot. And, to turn the microphone over to you, tell me about, to your point, you had composed and worked on, wow, I'm pulling up, there was a series called Backstreets. Looks like
Yes.
2006 to 2024, 653 episodes. You
Yes.
were the composer?
Yes, from the start, I am the composer. Actually, on IMDb, it seems like it finished, but it still goes on. It's in the 20th season. And this week, with my old friend here, uh, I'm composing. I'm doing the let me episode. It is the longest running Turkish TV series ever. It's a cop show. Backstreet, we say arka sokaklar. It literally means back streets in Turkish. And, still the original cast is in the series. So it's about the police department of Istanbul and their families and the kids who acted in the first season are now grown-ups, It's a beautiful series. The Turkish public loves to watch every Friday night.
That's such a great story. And I'm curious, I know, I haven't read your bio, some of your influences, and it's such an eclectic list of inspiration. It's from the Beatles to tell me about, when did you first start composing and what was your first show that you had worked on?
So I started composing when I was a teenager. I started writing melodies and writing lyrics. I was a classical guitar student. Actually, I started with piano, but I didn't really enjoy it. I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. So then I waited till I was 15 and 16 and I started classical guitar education and I loved it. It's also like you can carry the guitar everywhere you go and it's easy to learn, it's easy to play and you can play rhythm, so it really captured my attention and love. Then first I started as a singer-songwriter. So when I was in the college, when I was like maybe 19 or 20 years old, I recorded my first album. I was writing songs, but then I was, how do you say in English? I was very idealist, we say, idealistic, maybe the word. So I
Yes.
didn't want to do the music, the mainstream music, I had my own style and I was a teenager listening to 60s music like Beatles, Elvis, Rolling Stones, which was rare in Turkey. But I was also listening to Turkish folk music and what we call Turkish psychedelic rock or Anatolian psychedelic rock. Anatolia is the region that's also called Asia Minor in Turkey, where many civilizations appeared in history. So at one side I was listening to British and American music, at the other side I was listening to Turkish folk music. So my mind was like melting pot of different genres of music. And being too idealistic, it was hard to earn money from the albums you make. As an independent artist, I didn't get radio play. I didn't get my music videos broadcasted on the TV channels. And I was composing a lot. I was composing a lot of songs and instrumentals, and it was expensive to make the albums. So my mentors said I should move into composing for media, composing for game shows, TV series. And at that time in 2003, 2004, there were only 3 or 4 big production companies that could do big series, and
Mhm.
I was very young. I was in my early 20s. So when I first started composing for game shows on television, I was maybe 24 years old. So I did teams with in different moods. I did an opening theme, and I did some versions of it as if I'm composing for a series. The thriller version, the comedy version. So and that attracted the TV producers. And
Mhm.
after game shows, I did some sitcoms. And then I managed to compose for a big show after the sitcoms. Actually, it was the Turkish adaptation of the series from 80s, I think, American series, Revenge. There was a TV series named Revenge. So, the Turkish version was named Sahra, and everybody loved the music because I also hired live musicians,
Yes.
like an orchestra, because at that time in Turkey, most of the budgets were very small, and the composers, they were using samples, no live instruments. So I
Mm.
thought I should make a change. I should try to increase the quality of the music in the series, and
Yes.
I think that got everybody, that got all the producers. And later I got all my jobs because of this Revenge Sahra TV series. I remember composing for the Turkish remake of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then Arka Sokaklar, and then in the following years I composed for a lot of telenovelas, soap operas, Turkish soap operas that were very popular in Latin America. Suddenly, Spain and Latin American countries started watching Turkish TV series, and the families there started giving Turkish characters names to their babies. They are huge in Latin America.
Yes.
So this road of the TV series took me to a place I would never imagined. Suddenly, my songs became well known in other countries, and I did Spanish versions of my telenovela songs, soap opera songs. So it opened up an incredible door and new way for me.
Amazing. This backstory is very, very unique. And I think for our listeners tuning in, and I pulled up your Spotify page, Murat. If you want
Okay.
to talk about, because wow, 2.1 million. So these cuts, these first two tracks, were these from a series?
So the
Mhm.
very good question. So the first song, Shehit means marty in English. So the people who died at the war. It was a song I wrote about a soldier and his mom, and really nobody played this song when it was released in 2005, I guess, because it wasn't a fun song. It was a very sad song. So Turkish radios, they love fun songs, cheerful songs. Nobody really played the song, but through YouTube and throughout the years, people discovered this song, and a very important Turkish actress, Hülya Koçyiğit, starred in the music video of that song. But as I said, we couldn't get radio play, and the music channels didn't really play it. But now, surprisingly, after 20 years, it is my most listened to song in YouTube, in Spotify, in all digital platforms. So life has, like John Lennon says, life has other plans for you.
Yes. No,
But this,
congratulations.
thank you. But the second song you showed, that belongs to Backstreet's TV series. I wrote it specifically for that series. It tells the story of police men and their families. They're out in the streets, they're out in the danger, in the middle of the danger, and their families are looking for their way.
Mhm.
So it's an emotional series that at least played 742 times in Turkish television.
Wow.
So it became one of the most well-known songs of TV series in Turkey.
Amazing, Murat, because I think, and since you mentioned John Lennon and the great segue, everything in this moment in your career, even how we connected, I think you found me on LinkedIn, you followed us on IG, and I'm grateful to learn more from you because not only are you on this podcast, but you're going to be joining us with the Sync Like a Pro Academy, which
Can't
starts
wait.
next month. Between yourself, 10 cohorts, one producer in Japan, you're in Turkey. And I think, globally, what connects us obviously is our love for music and the segue. And congratulations from the creator of Breaking Bad,
Thank you
Vince
so much.
Gilligan's Pluribus. Yes, you secured a sync performing a cover of John Lennon's Nobody Told Me. And it's such a great story. I'll set it up. I know what I like to say in business and everything is thinking locally, but acting globally.
Mhm,
You're in Turkey, we're here in the US. You can hop on a plane as you are now here in
mhm.
Los Angeles going to the Guild of Music Supervisors, but nothing can fast track an introduction to a music supervisor. And I'll let you take the story from there.
Yeah, okay.
How did you, yes, tell us the backstory on securing this thing.
3, 4. Yeah, 3, 4 means 3, 4, just like Lennon says in the beginning of the song.
Mhm.
No, Charles, in 2007 and 8, I came to LA for ASCAP's I Create Music Expo, and it was a very nice expo. I remember Tom Petty one year, and the other year, John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora they were the guest of honors, and I met incredible people. But then nothing happened, and I mean, nothing happened career-wise because also I didn't have any English songs back then, and I kind of gave up because it's time consuming to fly all the way from Turkey to here, and it's also expensive. But
Yes.
after some years, I said I should go to America again because I really want to compose for American productions, or I'd like to have a sync placement in them. In 2017, I composed for Myths and Monsters that was on Netflix, US and UK. It was a factual series. And then I composed for The Stewards in Great Britain. But then the pandemic happened and I kind of lost contact with the foreign countries that I wanted to work with. Last year, in the beginning of last year, I went to an event called Think About It in Bucharest, in Romania. And I met some important people there. I was trying to understand the sync world. And when I did my research on internet, I found out that Thomas Golubic is one of the most successful music supervisors of the States and the world. He did Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, 6 Feet Under, The Walking Dead, and many other shows. And as I was surfing on his website, I saw that I could get a one-on-one consultancy session. So I booked it. And then I learned what disco app is. So I submitted some of my compositions to Thomas Golubic, and we had a 1 hour session, and it was a big chance for me. It was very important for me. He liked my music, my compositions, and my voice. And I asked him at the end, and he gave me some feedback and recommendations on what I should do. And I asked him, like, what are you working on these days? So as I remember, he didn't tell me the name of the series. And at that time, the name was something different anyway. It wasn't Pluribus.
Hmm.
Maybe it was Waikaro, or the working title was Waikaro, I think. So anyway, Thomas gave me a list of songs that I could choose from, and he said they needed cover versions of these songs in other languages. So I saw Cat Stevens' Wild World there. I saw Doors, People Are Strange, and I saw John Lennon, Nobody Told Me. As a Beatle maniac, I chose John Lennon. Even though I couldn't remember the song, I couldn't remember Nobody Told Me, because that was a song released after his death. So
Yeah.
I know it's a big song in America, but in Turkey, less people know it. Like, we know songs like Just Like Starting Over, Imagine, Woman, but I couldn't
Mhm.
remember. Nobody told me. But if it's John Lennon, it's okay. It's enough for me to choose that song. So then I started translating the lyrics, and I produced the song. I did the arrangement, and I thought it would be nice to have some Turkish instruments like kanun, the Turkish percussion, darbuka, and finger cymbals, and what else? And I have a banjo at home that sounds like
Okay.
a Turkish instrument. When you play it in a specific way, it sounds like cümbüş, which is a beautiful instrument. Like, it's the fretless banjo of Turkey. So then I finished the song. I had my sound engineer mixed it, and I sent it to Thomas. And he wrote me an email. He says, "This is great. Like, I love it." So, in America, everybody talks very positively about everything. When you ask a friend's opinion in Turkey about the song, the first thing they will tell is the negative side of the song, like they will say, I didn't like this, or this doesn't sound good. But in America, it's the opposite. So I couldn't really
Sure.
understand if he really liked it, or out of, how do you say, out of courtesy, he's saying nice things. But then when he sent me a second
Sure.
email, saying Vince Gilligan and the team loved it and we want to use this song, I said, wow, like in Turkish we say beginner's luck. When you are new to something, things go extremely well. I don't know if you have the same saying in
Yes.
English. So now I think I'm a one
Yes,
sync.
yes.
I think I'm a one sync wonder now, like a one hit wonder. But I hope I'll get some other sync placements. But this was a great start for me, and people in Turkey were so proud because I think it's the first Turkish song that ever appeared in an American series or something like this big, in a big Hollywood series.
Yeah, and I know you won't be a one sync wonder because this is just the beginning
I
based
hope so.
on your resume in Turkey, everything that you've done as a composer and a songwriter, because I think Murat, a lot can be said, you're an independent artist and then you had the wherewithal to transition into composing, and now what you've done here in the States and doing all the right things. I know you were at the Durango songwriting conference, and yeah, how was that? And I know, and then you're here for the GMS award.
Yeah,
Was going to Durango, was that your first time?
yeah, it was my first time. It's amazing what Jim has been doing for maybe 30 years. I'm not sure about the history, but it's a long running expo, and they become like a family.
Hmm.
All these songwriters. This year there were a lot of new attendees. When they asked who is here for the first time, like everybody raised their hands. But it's so nice to see them playing together, like being in listening sessions, getting feedback from music supervisors. And I loved Ventura, by the way, the place it happened, by the beach,
Yes.
Ventura. So I
Yeah.
really liked it. I saw that my music and other songwriters' music, of course, most people do a very American style of music, and maybe
Hmm.
so I was a bit confused. Shall I do more American style songs, or shall I stay in my lane? Just like Pluribus, Vince Gilligan's team needed a Turkish version of John Lennon's song, but it doesn't happen always. So now I'm trying to understand what should I really do. But it was really eye-opening for me, and I think there'll be a lot of collaborations with the people I met there. I still believe the power of face-to-face communication, so it's a big investment for me to fly all the way from Turkey to here. But if I can, I will try to do it every year. I will try to come every year because, face to face energy is something else. It's not like cold emails or LinkedIn
Yes.
messages, because we are human. We need that energy. We need to look at each other's eyes
Yes.
and talk and get the energy. So I would like to be more present here in America's music industry. I'm still learning. I'm at the beginning of the road.
The beginning of the road, but you're ahead of many because I think going back to the story with, you know, booking the one-on-one with Thomas and then, you know, your music spoke for itself. I've been a sync agent for 25 plus years, and just like music supervisors, we get so much music, but when we hear the music that moves us, it's
Mhm.
authentic, there's storytelling, it's professionally produced, mixed, mastered, then we save your music. And like you said, when you meet somebody and your energy and warmth as an artist, you're a genuine, real artist. And I think it's human nature because there's so much more than ever opportunities, but at the same time, it comes down to the relationship and the timing. And I think what you did on, you know, Nobody Told Me, the cover, with integrity, with a tip of the hat to John Lennon, but you made it your own. And I think, Murat, what you did so masterfully, weaving in the Turkish instrumentation. And I think that's why Vince and the team and Thomas, because they were all on board, not knowing what they're thinking. But as a sync agent, I know there are many layers of approvals from the supervisor to the showrunner, the producer, the studio.
I can guess.
You know, they have to sign on, and yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a huge accomplishment, and I think it's something to continue to build on. And congrats, and it's we can chat more because I think there are so many other opportunities. Back
Mhm.
to answer what you said, I think melding, doing songs, you have your lane as an authentic Turkish composer and
Mhm.
songwriter. So that's one side of your catalog.
Mhm.
And then what excites me as a sync agent, like you said, is collaboration. Maybe it's a Korean K-pop with a
Yeah.
Turkish remix. You know,
Yeah.
these
Why
are
not?
things that,
Why not?
you know, why not? No, if it's never been done before. And that's what's so beautiful about the music industry. When I was at Capitol Records in the 90s,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, we had Radiohead, Beastie Boys, Blind Melon, and then you had Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, the rich history and catalogs of Capitol Records. And up on the wall, the Beatles' White Album is up there, David Bowie, the Beach Boys.
Wow.
But music at its core, you know, there's the through line is, does it move us? Do we feel it? And I think when you meld different genres together, you're creating something totally within your own imagination, and that is the
Exactly.
power of music that connects us. And yeah.
Exactly, exactly. You know what, Charles, I'd like to tell you something. So I know that it's not big in America, but in Europe there is a huge song contest, Eurovision. I don't know if you like have heard about it. So all the countries they attend this contest, and it's a huge thing in Europe. Anyway, for years, my country, Turkey, tried to imitate European music, tried to do something like attend the competition with European sounds, you know, or sometimes opera sounding music and songs. And we never won the contest until we made a song, or we made some songs that sound exactly like us, you know, our Turkish music, Turkish instruments. And then we won the first place in the Eurovision song contest. I think it's very important to be authentic, to be true to yourself, to bring what
Yes.
is in your country. We say the music of the land in Turkish, we say. So it's very important not to imitate other people, but to bring something from your heart, something from your country. I believe in that.
So true and so well said. And I think the jobs that between sync agents and music supervisors and showrunners is to go out and find compositions not only locally here in the US but globally, because depending what's on the script and the story, we'll get briefs. I was working on something, they needed authentic music from Greece.
Hmm.
Or maybe I'm pitching something from for a show they need. I love what you said earlier about the novella. They needed Spanish or music
Hmm.
from Colombia,
Hmm.
cumbia, etc.
Hmm.
So you're right. I think that is where you know, have so much experience, and wanted to pull this up. This was a great interview I came across.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
this was a yeah. Tell us about this interview and the show.
It's a TV show on a national TV channel after the placement in Pluribus. So I'm talking about
Mhm.
I'm talking about basically how I got this thing placement, because everybody thinks in Turkey I had contacts, like I had friends in Hollywood. That's the easy way to think about it. But actually, once the song resonates,
Mm.
once the song is good, and that's what I like about America. You present the song, if they like it, they take it. If they don't like it, they say it to you in an honest way. But in other countries, maybe you have to know the person, you have to be friends with them to work. But we met on a Zoom call with Thomas, and I didn't know him, he didn't know me before. So the power of music is still alive in America. Like, they don't look at who you are, they look at your music and decide. So I was telling about these things, and also I found it very interesting that Vince Gilligan, first of all, I would love to congratulate him, because he did, after the success of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, he did something completely opposite. Because once you have the success, the industry expects you to follow the same way, same road, let's say. But
Yes.
he did a show that's contrary to, there is no violence, almost no violence in the series. And to choose a song in a language that the American people don't understand, like to choose a Turkish song, I
Mm.
think it's a very brave decision. He could have chosen the original version of the song by John Lennon, even though it would cost a lot of money. But I think that wouldn't be a problem for Apple TV and Vince Gilligan. But in my country, the TV producers,
Yeah.
they choose, because it's cheaper, they choose the most well-known song of the most famous singers. So I like how American TV producers, they use indie artists songs or
Yeah.
no-name artist songs that are not well known, because I think this creates a better bond with the story and the audience, because the famous song
Yes.
has its memories, has its let's say emotional baggage. It comes with it, or it can remind you
Yes.
of some other things. It can distract you from the TV series. So I love the decision that they chose a Turkish song, a Turkish version. And many people also ask this. It was produced specifically for Pluribus. So this version didn't exist before Pluribus.
Wow. Yes. And I think, and I wanted to ask you, Murat, is what was your turnaround time as far as the deadline? And then how long until you received confirmation that the song was locked?
So when we did this one-on-one consultancy session with Thomas, and when I chose the song, I think I had 3 weeks to finish the song, and I was traveling at that time. Like I went to France for another TV series festival. So, but to finish a song like that, to produce and record, it really takes a week and maybe one day mixing, because in Turkey every
Mm.
week we produce a TV series that is 140 minutes long. It's not like in America where it's planned very well and you make 8 episodes in one season. No, we make one episode per week, and it's longer than a feature movie. So we are very used to
Mm.
working with tight schedules. So yeah, I had 3 weeks, and then I think I heard immediately, like in one week, like Thomas immediately said he liked the song, he loved the song, and maybe 2 weeks later, Vince Gilligan's team's reactions came to me. And what made me really happy
Yes.
was later on in November, the series was released on 7th of November. And a couple of weeks later, Rolling
Hmm.
Stone magazine, they mentioned the song as the best needle drop songs of 2025. Uh, Alongside with Metallica and Stone Roses. So it was in this list. It made me really
Wow.
proud and very happy, and it surprised me big time.
Wow. That is, I'm going to pull that up.
Okay.
Huge congrats. Cause that's
Thank
just
you.
another, from my label side, when we work with the publicity department,
Mhm.
our hourly weekend, our weekly meetings, team meetings with all the departments, the PR department. This is something, they take a hard copy and here it is. This should be up on your, and this was Thomas sharing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something, it's interesting because back in the 90s, it was just hard copy. We didn't have
Yes.
social media, but this is what's so great, Murat, to be able to reshare this.
Thank you
So
so
my
much.
suggestion, and we can strategize, we can talk about, but this was something that was great, and that's huge. The best Stevie Needle drops of 2025, from thrashing headbangers to thumping club tracks to ethereal ballads. These top songs soundtrack key music moments in our favorite series this year, and there you go.
Yeah, nobody told
So
me. Yeah,
that
it
is
was
huge.
shocking for me. It was a big surprise for me.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. But no, I think that's why, back to earlier, and I'm going to share something else as we were chatting here. I don't know if you know this article, but this was published on February 5th of this year. David Yamin, Turkish TV series that will have you hooked from Istanbul with love and drama and mystery and fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great set. I'm going to read a first paragraph. From heart-wrenching dramas to pulse-pounding thrillers, Turkish TV series are famous for their soapy plots and larger-than-life characters. They pull you into the world and keep you there. Turkish viewers can't get enough of them, and once you start watching, you'll see why. And he has a list here, and I'm sure
Hmm.
you know some of these,
Yeah.
but I I think this, from GMS and the more supervisors you meet, and we're talking about working together, but your catalog, Netflix is such a powerhouse with global productions. And here is the template of additional shows that your
Hmm.
music could work with.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Some of them are Netflix series. Also, Netflix and platforms like Netflix changed the world, I think. Suddenly, there was a distribution problem in the 90s.
Mm,
When you make an album, the biggest problem was distribution. Like, how would an American person living in the States would have access to your album? They wouldn't know even that album existed. But now we can listen to everybody's album. The only thing I don't like is the streaming. I really don't like streaming because in the CD period, let's say, everybody earned better money. The songwriter, the artist, the record company. Now, yes, the distribution problem is out. Like, but we earn, or the songwriters or the artists earn little money from digital sales.
yeah.
Also, I think unfortunately the value of music have been, how to say, diminished. Because it's something you can find almost for free. But when I was a child, I remember trying to find the Beatles album in Istanbul. I would walk, or I would go to different regions of the city to find one album. And if it's not in the shop, they would say, okay, come next week, we'll bring it from the retail shop. So that album, I still keep them. They are very important. So, buying an album and then reading who played in which song or who wrote the song, reading the booklets
Yes.
from inside of the album, that was another ceremony. And those CDs, those cassettes, they are still kept in our archive. So
Yeah.
some things
Yes.
change for the good, but some things change for the bad.
And I was going to say, Murat, because as you were speaking about that, and I wholeheartedly agree, having a physical copy, like you said, the liner notes, you put on the vinyl, A side, B side. But
Yeah.
in Istanbul, it looks like record stores and demand for Turkish vinyl. There's still some demand, especially like what you were saying, that Anatolian 70s pop.
Yeah, there is a huge demand actually, and a friend of mine from Canada is making a documentary named Gurbet about Anatolian rock. And these Turkish bands, they're also very well known. Some of them were very well known in Europe. They won awards that Pink Floyd or Jimi Hendrix won in France. This genre was big in the 70s. And still some rappers or some hip hop artists in US, they use samples from from these Anatolian psychedelic rock or Turkish psychedelic rock songs. So I really like this genre. I can say it's one of the most original genres of Turkey, blending folk music with Western rock music. I can say every country has a band like this. Iran has, Turkey has, or
Mm.
Iraq has. So it's very fun to listen. And sync wise, I think this genre fits very well in period dramas or TV series that are set in 70s, 60s, 70s. They quote a universal sound with a Turkish essence, let's say, or Anatolian essence. I can
Nice.
say some names. Barış Manço was one of the biggest names of Turkish rock music, with his
Mhm.
long hair and long mustache and rings. It's Baris, Barış,
Okay.
which means
Okay.
peace.
Okay.
Manço, Manco, if you'd like to Google. So this is a
Yes.
big name. And his rival, Cem Karaca, was also a very big name. And the band Moğollar, Mongols in English. This band was playing with both of them actually. Also, Selda Bağcan is a female singer. Actually, I introduced Thomas Golubic to Selda Bağcan in Istanbul. She's a big influence. So we have amazing singers and songwriters from that era.
Very cool. Very cool. No, and thank you because I had just pulled up the list of Turkish vinyl stores, and I think
Oh, okay.
that's some. Yeah, and when folks catch the playback, I'll be sure to put links to your website, to Spotify, and I think with the challenges we're facing here globally, people worrying about AI. I think the catalogs as I do of. Is this the correct artist?
Yes, Barış Manço. Yes, that's him. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is very cool.
He al- he also had a very interesting, like a travel show, music show. At that time there was only one TV channel, the government's channel, and this was a huge show. A huge show.
Wow,
Like
interesting.
he would go to different countries of the world and show interesting things. I remember he made one episode here in LA where he visited Universal Studios and showed us. At that time, imagine there's no internet. The only medium is the television and the radio. So we discovered the world from his TV programs. He was a big influence musically and personally also on Turkish young people.
Very nice, very nice. And as far as radio goes, Murat, as we're speaking about it, the youth in Turkey, how would you say, is it word of mouth as far as finding new music, or are they finding it on the web? What's sort of, how does that work?
Now, Spotify is very strong in Turkey,
Hmm.
as far as I can see. And once a song gets into the editorial Spotify list, it skyrockets. But I don't know how those songs are chosen. I don't know how those songs get in that playlist. Actually, like songwriters and artists, they're not really happy about this in Turkey. And the PROs,
Mm.
they had some meetings with Spotify. They wanted a more fair approach to playlists, because you can make the most beautiful song of the world, but if it's not in the playlist, it's not in Spotify's playlist. I mean, nobody hears it. Nowadays, so in the 90s, rock music was huge in Turkey. Now it's the hip hop with Turkish influence. So that's a huge genre now. Everybody listens to hip hop, and
Uh-huh.
it's interesting, really. I think whatever happens in the States, maybe 20 years later, it happens in Turkey. It comes to Turkey like a trend.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. And I'm curious because this is such a great conversation, and it kind of ties in what we were talking about earlier about, blending styles,
Hmm.
melding. So I just pulled up and I'll get it straight from the source from you. Top Turkish hip hop bands and collectives. Are some of these bands, were they big? How?
Cartel was the first big rap band. They were based in Germany. In the 60s, 70s, a lot of immigration happened from Turkey to Germany. The Turkish workers
Mhm.
with their families. They immigrated
Mhm.
there, and Cartel was, let's say, the second generation of those immigrants. Incredible music. I love Cartel. Like, it was like a beautiful shock when they released their first album, because we didn't have anything like that in Turkey. So Cartel,
Yeah.
Ceza, Nefret was the duo that Ceza was in. Ceza is one of the pioneers of Turkish rap music, and I'm very happy to be his friend.
Mm.
Yeah, we have many rappers. Ceza wrote lyrics to Mozart's Turkish March, and it was one of his best tracks.
That is fascinating. I'm gonna have to listen to their music because then as I was reading this, it caught my
I'll send you. And why don't you
yeah.
come to Istanbul? Let's make a panel, like a workshop there, and I'll take you to the record shop. And it's Istanbul is very different. You know, it's different from all the European cities you'll see. It's not completely west or it's not completely east. It's something in the middle. And then we have the 1,500 years old Hagia Sophia uh, Orthodox Church turned into mosque, and we have the Bosphor Strait that divides two continents. You know, Istanbul is the city where two continents meet, Europe and Asia, and Bosphor or Bosphorus is the natural strait between these continents. We have some bridges connecting them. We have a Maiden Tower in the middle of the sea, Hagia Sophia Mosque. It used to be a church, and then a museum. Now it's a mosque. We have Blue Mosque. Like, we have amazing places to see from East Roman Empire and then the Turkish Ottoman Empire. It was the capital of these two huge empires. So historically, there are a lot to see.
So much. I think, on your social media and IG, if you just walked out and filmed and then synced it to your song Pluribus, I think so that's what's so beautiful. Like you said, there
I
nothing
should do that.
replaces. Yeah. I think because you can pull things up on YouTube, but if you're there talking about it it's such there's nothing that replaces being going and staying longer than a week if you can in a foreign country and immersing yourself in the culture, the food, the music. And that's what's I think a good segue, Murat, is as we continue to chat. What does the rest of your year look like as far as new music for your own for
Yeah.
your own
So I keep composing for this longest running TV show in Turkey, and that takes a lot of time. You know, even if I'm not composing a new theme every week, I do all the music edit of it, and the durations are very long, like 140 minutes long episodes. So they take time. But I made it like a lifestyle. I can travel and I have my laptop, so I can keep on doing it. But I just released a song, like a love song from a previous soap opera I was composing for. It's called Gitme. It means don't go or don't leave. And we have shot a music video in Colombia, in Cartagena. And so you can see it on my Instagram, one of the last reels I posted. So
okay.
I'd like to release some singles in Turkish this year. And I'd like to write more songs in English, maybe collaborate with artists, and I'm looking forward to my next sync placement.
Yes, collaboration is the key word because I'm so excited for next week. I
Me
had
too.
mentioned a minute ago, you're a cohort in Turkey. We've got a producer in Japan, and then 8 other cohorts that are in the US. But from songwriters, rappers, Japanese producer, and yourself. So me as the coach, if you will, I'm
Mhm.
going to create the teams, a composer with a songwriter, a top liner, and we're going to make some magic music. It's going to be so fun melding what we were saying, different genres. But this is very cool. So this is you did a video for this as well, it looks like.
Yeah, I shot it in Cartagena with my DOP friend Eduardo, thanks to him. And also we were recording, like, I have a documentary project on why Turkish series are so popular in Latin America and why the music is so popular there, because the kids started memorizing my Turkish songs, the Latin American kids, because one song usually plays in every episode, in the beginning or end of the episode, and there are some love songs that I wrote for the series. They play in many episodes. So by hearing them every day, the kids memorized them and started singing. And I became friends with their families who sent me the videos of their kids. So I went there, I appeared in some TV shows, I had a concert, and then I interviewed these families about the Turkish TV series. So I'm planning to do it in some other countries like Spain, Poland, where the Turkish TV series are very popular. And then I want to combine them all together and make a documentary of my music and Turkish TV series. So in a couple of years, it's gonna be my 30th anniversary in music. I'd like to
Wow.
release that documentary that year.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's in itself, there's never a moment when you're not working, but when you're doing what you're doing as a composer, songwriter, and now with creating new storytelling through a documentary, I think that is to be applauded and congrats because it
Thank you.
continues to tell your story, Murat, and I can't wait to talk more about that and hear more about it. And I'm always here for you with our podcast, Sync Riffs, and we can share it. And the
Thank you
community,
so
like
much.
you said, yeah, no, my pleasure, my pleasure. I think, like you said, Murat, you coming back with the Guild of Music Supervisors, the awards, there's the summer conference. And I think the more times you make a trip out here, but the short time you may be here, you might have 5, 6, 7 meetings, and
Mhm.
then it creates new opportunities down the line.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And I would want every young songwriter who maybe watches our conversation to take a step and not to be shy, because I was one of the shyest persons, people of the world. When I was a teenager, I was so shy. I always expected work to come to me or job opportunities to come to me because I trusted my music, but it's not how it happens every time, all the time. You should present yourself, you should be out in the field, and you shouldn't be shy about your music or about your talent. You shouldn't wait to be discovered. You should create your own projects and go meet people, have a conversation with them. I think this is one of the hardest thing to overcome for songwriters, because why I chose music to express my feelings, because I wasn't good at talking. I wasn't very social. That's why I chose music. On my own, I would create something, I would express it in a way that is non-verbal, let's say. But then you understand that you have to talk. You have to
Yeah,
go out there. You have to be social. That's the conflict.
there's a conflict, but I think it's like riding a bike. When we're uncomfortable, the more we do something, we we get better at it. And I think, Murat, to combine what you just said, marrying your music with a visual component. I'm going to share. I had interviewed Ruby Ibarra and Miranda Kwok, the showrunner for The Cleaning Lady at NAMM, and how Miranda found Ruby is she had Googled South Asian rappers, and Ruby Ibarra's video came up. And
Mm,
Ruby made this video pre-pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, around the time. And her vision as an artist and the directing of this video, Miranda picked up the phone and said, Ruby, not only do we want to license your song, but we want you to be part of the composing team. So
amazing.
amazing. Yes. And the great story is she was actually working on finding an anecdote for COVID. She quit her job full time, and she just last year won NPR's Tiny Desk concert singing in Tagalog in Filipino. And
Cool.
it goes back to authenticity. So, if Murat, I think after this, we're going to chat more. And I think with your authenticity as a Turkish artist, like you said, there's two lanes. It could be your rich wealth catalog of music in Turkey. I pulled up that shows that are being produced. And then what's exciting to me as a sync agent is, like you said, collaborating, do something new, creating a new genre. It's a global opportunity. You're so talented as not only as a composer, but a songwriter, but you have a vision
Thank you.
for finding a home for your music. And I think covers, you knocked it out of the park covering It's such a huge. Were you nervous in the beginning? Because I'm sure you love
I wa
John Lennon and the Beatles. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about that.
So I said yes to Thomas. I will do it, but then I thought, how am I gonna do it? Like it's the first Turkish version of a John Lennon song. It's like a weight on your shoulders. How am I gonna translate this? How am I gonna sing this? It wasn't an easy task emotionally, because also John Lennon has always been an idol. The Beatles were the only band that I had posters of them on my walls as a teenager. There was Beatles, maybe 6 or 7 posters of Beatles and one poster of Elvis. So my even after Pluribus sync placement, my friends from middle school, high school, they said, "Wow, man, like it's amazing. Like when we came to your house, we saw all those posters in the 90s. You were this kid listening to the 60s music of the 60s in the 90s." So, and it's serendipity, really, like how life really has a
Mm,
plan for you. Also, in my childhood, I watched a lot of Latin American TV series, like Mexican TV series, because they were huge in Turkey. I have no idea why I watched them so much, but probably I learned something from them, and now I'm using that in my TV series music. So everything is
yeah.
like a plan God has for us.
And it's up to us to connect
The
and
dots.
learn 100%.
Exactly.
And I found on my CD wall
My
the
God.
yeah, and it's still in the wrapper, Abbey Road.
My God. That's amazing.
I'm sure if you know, booking a trip to England
London?
and walk, yeah, Abbey Road, walking the same streets, I think, and I was just gonna say, sometimes having a longer deadline, you had 3 weeks. Did you ever? You're like, I get the song's not ready. I got to do more to it. How did you?
No, no,
how was
like
that? Yeah,
no, we didn't have any revisions. That was surprising to me. So I made the arrangement. I played everything live, the guitar, the banjo, whatever. I programmed some things, of course, like the drums and bass. And then I had it professionally mixed. I didn't send the demo to Thomas. Like I sent a finished product, let's say. And also, I think that's why also they liked it, because you shouldn't leave anything to the imagination. You shouldn't send a bad sounding demo with a bad reverb on your voice and expect them to like it, because I always say the mix is like the makeup. Yeah, the song can be beautiful, but if it has a nice little makeup on it, it will be more appealing to the listener.
that's why, Murat, you're a consummate professional. Like you said, never. And what I've given advice to independent artists, and then we'll wrap up our conversation, is got to be finished, mixed, and mastered. Never send a demo, because also it creates doubt of like, why are you sending me a demo? It's not finished. It's not polished. It's got to be polished. And you
Yeah,
only have one chance to
exactly.
impress the supervisor, the sync agent. And like you said, don't leave anything to imagination. So
Yeah.
amazing. And your vocals, it's such a great rendition that I think people will continue to find it. And thank you so much, Murat. This is an hour
Thank you.
long chat, but I feel like, from one music professional to another, we could talk for hours. And that's what's so great about our industry is the more
Exactly.
we talk, the more we learn about each other, what we have in common, and how we can work together. And there's so much opportunities, and it's just a matter of connecting the dots.
Exactly. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was an honor to be here. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope the listeners had a good time. And I wish them the best in this long journey, because music is a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think we should always aim for the long run, you say, right? In English. For the
Yes.
marathon. It's sometimes you make a song, nothing happens, nobody likes the song, but 10 years later people discover that song, and there you go.
And there you go. And I'll see you on Saturday. And when we post up this episode for a great conversation, Murat, I'll link to your website, your socials. And thank you so much for joining us. And I can't wait to continue to work with you and talk about music.
Me too. Looking forward. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Murat, and thank you those tuning in. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Sync Riffs. And thanks again to Murat, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Thank you.
Go.